It's weird being 21. Oftentimes I find myself looking back on my days in high school. I was so happy back then. At least that's how I remember it. Having a huge friend group, going out, not worrying about paying bills or if you're gonna have enough money till the end of the month. Sure, there was all the teenage angst, school, parents, drama, but as I've gotten older, that angst hasn't really disappeared. If anything, it has only gotten stronger, so yeah. I was happy. Maybe I'm going to be as happy as back then in the future too. I don't know though. Nobody can know that. I find myself thinking about it quite a lot. Seeing all the imaginary scenarios of my life inside my head. How I'm rich or famous or successful. Or even how I've started a family. That would probably be nice. What I don't think about as much is the present. Or maybe I just don't want to. That's the weird part of being this age. You generally are not established in your field, maybe you're in college, maybe you're working, maybe your parents still support you, and you're stuck in this circle of constantly seeing your past and future, maybe longing for one of them, maybe for both, maybe for neither, and you often miss the present. At least I do. Maybe some people watching this, if anybody is even watching, can relate to that. I can think of at least one person who certainly does. We at Eldest Boys rarely pay attention to the Oscars anymore, and I think most people are in the same boat as us.
Rightfully so too.
Which is ironic because I'm about to talk about a film which got nominated for the Best Animated Short category in 2017 and didn't even win. Blind Vaysha is an animated short film created by animator Theodore Ushev. It tells the story of a young girl from a small village who can only see the past with one eye and the future with another, never the present. Because of that, for everyone around her, she is practically blind, hence the name. Although she can see, what she sees is never the actual world around her. In her eyes, her own mother is either a little girl or an old decrepit woman. A cherry tree blooming in the spring is not something Vaysha can look at with wonder or joy. To her, it's either not grown yet or long dead. She cannot find love or happiness in others as she sees only their past or future self.
One day a young man came to ask for her hand. When she laid her eyes on him, this is what she saw.
My goodness, what has this little brat come to ask me?
His hair is all white. Poor dear.
My goodness, he smells like dirt. This shirt is not.
Love to her is a joke. Can you imagine that? Not being able to truly love anyone in the present as you're too preoccupied with what was or what will be? Well, maybe it's not so hard to imagine. Again, I can think of at least one person who can relate. People are often too preoccupied with their perceptions of time, with either nostalgia for the past, whether it be love or friendship or the beach walks you had with your parents when you were a kid, or with hope or fear for an imaginary distant future which they can never truly grasp. And our perception of time is always skewed, specifically the past. Nostalgia can twist memory, making us forget all the bad stuff that we've inevitably experienced. And the creation of this imaginary reality inside our heads, this world of momentary bliss where nothing has ever gone wrong, is sometimes so tempting. Likewise, the dream for a happy future, in which you've achieved all your aspirations and you have not a care in the world, is something that can get a hold of a person so quickly and for so long. The sweetness of daydreaming is, well, it's very sweet. Honestly, it's my favorite time of the day. It can even be considered a good hobby, if a good hobby is something you can do for an excessive period of time while ignoring everything and everyone around you. Another way to describe it is a dangerous trap. And while you, imaginary viewer who can relate to everything I've described, or me, at some point are forced to leave our state of perpetual daydreaming by the realities of life, Vaysha is a person who can never escape that trap. She was born in it.
When little Vaysha grew up and began to talk, she explained that she saw the sky like this.
In the film, her state is seen as a curse by her community, a dark spell which has taken a hold of her. Countless healers arrive at the village in an attempt to reunite her forever separated eyes and bring her back in the real world. Nothing works. She's forced to live with the curse throughout her whole life. And although she grows into a beautiful young woman, she can't even enjoy her own beauty, nor anything else about herself, because she doesn't see herself as she is. In a way, she doesn't know who she is. She can't ever know, while only seeing her past and future. Without the present, each and every day, she is lost. And each and every night, she is haunted by the nightmares of her two forever separated realities.
On one side, she saw herself as a little girl, and on the other, she saw herself already dead.
Sometimes her dreams are even more maddening. The world before creation, an empty husk of what was, and an apocalyptic landscape of destruction, both intertwined in her mind, haunting her each time she closes her eyes. Because the present world is something she can never truly experience, she naturally chooses to distance herself from it, rarely leaving the house, choosing a life of quiet solitude, a cursed life in which her only companions are the two realities she can see but never be a part of. She chooses, or rather, is forced to choose. In her desperation to find a solution to her existence in separate realities, Vaysha has the idea to tear out one of her eyes herself. However, she cannot decide which one. Removing the left eye, her window to the past, would lead to her seeing only the desperate uncertainty of a future which scares her. Removing the right one would lead to her living only in the comfortable past, but
how to live with parents who are young children?
she comes to the realization that it's an impossible decision. Her salvation does not lie in the past or in the future. How could it? She cannot associate with either one of her two visible realities. And can they even be called realities at all? She can only see them but never truly experience them. Quite clearly, she realizes that life only in the past or future, or both, is not life at all. And if you're hoping for a happy ending, the film doesn't give you one.
This story is a hopeless story because we cannot find anything in this world capable of reuniting these two views.
Instead, it leaves you with a question.
Do we look at the world with the eyes of Vaysha the blind?
And maybe sometimes we do. Blind Vaysha is based on a short story with the same name by writer Georgi Gospodinov. The concept of time and people's perception of it is not foreign to Gospodinov's writing. His most popular novel, Time Shelter, explores people's relationship specifically with the past.
We are constantly producing the past. We are factories for the past, living past-making machines. What else? We eat time and produce the past. Even death doesn't put a stop to this. A person might be gone, but his past remains.
The story details the creation of a clinic for the past, promising treatment for people suffering from Alzheimer's. Each of its floors reproduces a specific decade of the 20th century in minute detail, transporting patients back in time to more familiar and happier moments. Each room is decorated with complete precision, from the magazines laid on the tables to the music which might play on the phonographs. The metaphor of sick people looking for comfort in their past, sheltering from the present, couldn't be more obvious. However, that doesn't make Time Shelter any less profound, as it explores the fundamental human desire to preserve time and hold on to what is fleeting, even if that means retreating into the past. There is a pervasive sense of loss here, not just the loss of moments in time, but also a loss of direction and purpose in life. Some of the patients in the clinic don't even find solace in what they've experienced, but what they fantasized about. For instance, a Romanian man whose dream was life in the US finds that wish fulfilled in the clinic. For Time Shelter, nostalgia isn't so much about the memory of what you had, but the memory of what you wanted. In this story, the collective power of people's clinging to the past with their dreams for a perfect future proves to be quite more powerful than anyone might have thought beforehand.
When you have no future, you vote for the past. In the end, in the referendum, people chose the years when they were young. There was a certain injustice in that, choosing the time the next generation would live in.
As the rooms within the clinic become more convincing, an increasing number of healthy people start seeking refuge here, hoping to escape the horrors of modern life. Soon, entire countries want to emulate the idea, with referendums taking place to decide which particular version of the past will be adopted and settled on as the default version of their current reality.
My urge to write this book came from the sense that something had gone awry in the clockworks of time. How does one live with a deficit of meaning and future? What do we do when the pandemic of the past engulfs us?
Do we look at the world with the eyes of Vaysha the blind?
If you gave me the choice to either go back to 10th grade or keep living my life as it is right now, honestly, I don't know what my answer would be. I'm not even talking about going to the 1960s or futuristic Earth where they've invented flying cars or some other time. 10th grade is tempting enough to make that a difficult decision for me. In Ushev's film, Vaysha lives a life disassociated with the present and sees it as a prison and a curse, while Time Shelter showcases entire societies voluntarily retreating into the past to escape the horrors of modern life. It should be pointed out that this shift is not at all presented as a good thing. After all, the last chapter of the book describes the dire consequences this reenactment of the past leads to. 1 million troops amassing at the Polish border to reenact the beginning of World War II. Yeah, not good at all. And yet, in today's world, people are constantly drawn to different times. Through the power of nostalgia, we can even inhabit them for a little while, just like Vaysha and the patients in the clinic do. Just like them, we enter the prison of existing while not really existing at all. And that prison can feel so cozy sometimes. So how do we choose to view our worlds? Is living in the present that unbearable sometimes? What are we supposed to do? I don't know. Honestly, this question is too tough for me. I don't know shit, I'm only 21.